Perkyplanes and RC here, operating at 2.4 gigahertz once again. And got the good old trusty coffee. Well, that's right, guys. If you recall from, or have watching my last video or two, I had made the decision to say bye-bye to the Taranis X9D Plus, just because I felt it was time for a little bit of an upgrade. So I got the Radiomaster TX16S. From what I've kind of observed, kind of becoming a very popular radio choice out there. So, and as I've kind of been sort of hinting at in some of my social media posts and things, I'm hoping this will be the last radio for me for a while. And I can honestly tell you from my brief experience, I'm very impressed actually. Couple things here. I'm going to try and put some general little timestamps down in the description there if you want to skip ahead to certain areas and things. I'm not going to say I'm going to go super in depth with this, but we will try and go, somewhat kind of show you some of the features and things like that. And honestly, at this stage, there's still stuff I don't know yet, so bear with me. I'll cover the basis of what I've went through so far and things that I've discovered with it, and like I said, just kind of go from there. First thing I want to mention though is just general first impressions. When I had got it out of the box, I mean, it was actually packaged very nice and neat and everything. When I got it out of the box, my first initial thing that I noticed was it just appeared a little bit longer than what my Taranis was, as well as my old Spectrum radio that I had. So that's just the general first impression I had. It just appeared longer to me, but overall, I don't think it fits. I don't think it fits too badly in my hands or anything like that. But like I said, I think I noticed it just being a little bit longer. Another thing I noticed was weight difference. I think this thing is definitely feels a little more heavy than my previous radios. Like I said, I had the Taranis X9D and then my Spectrum DX6 years ago. So definitely seems a little heavier than those radios. And the next thing I want to mention is the build quality. I don't generally think of things like this, but if I notice it, I'll make a comment about it. Just to kind of give it an overall comparison. I felt the Taranis, it was a good radio. I'm not going to have any complaints on it, but honestly, it was just a lot of plastic. It felt more like a toy than it did, a good, a good quality radio. So the Taranis, like I said, to me, it didn't feel quite as high quality. I mean, even though I paid about around $200 for it, it just didn't. It felt more like a toy to me. And of course, some people say we play with toys. I don't know how I feel about that, but anyways, like I said, the Taranis to me just kind of felt just a little more cheaply made. This thing, the opposite. It does not feel cheaply made at all. Just feels very solid. I don't know how to describe it, but other than that, it feels more solid to me. So so that's kind of those things out of the way. Now, one of the reasons why I had made the switch to doing the Radiomaster TX16, of course, I'm all for having as many channels as I possibly can for a reasonable price. That is one of the reasons why I left Spectrum. I didn't feel like paying $400, $500, $600, $1,000 just to have 12 or 16 channels. I just felt like it didn't justify the cost of that, especially when I can go and buy like an OpenTX radio like this for a couple hundred and have 16 channels just right out of the box. It just that made much more sense to me. But part of that is I felt like the Taranis was starting to become out of date, and I know it was an older radio when I got it, but it felt to me it was more out of date, and that I feared that things were just going to start becoming discontinued, and I'd have to start the whole radio process over again and find something else. And so a lot of people have been, of course, talking about the Radiomaster radio. So I was thinking, I was looking at it myself and just liking what I was seeing. You know, just like I said, just a lot of good reviews about it. Color screen, um, and probably the big selling point for me, aside from the affordable price and that for what it was, still having 16 channels, all that kind of stuff. The other thing that kind of sold me was that it was multi-protocol. Um, I can't remember all the different protocols off the top of my head. I can list them here on the screen there and show you guys all the different protocols that this thing can do. But I mean, it handles, you know, everything from the FrSky stuff I was using with the Taranis. It'll actually even cover spectrum receivers, you know, DSM2, DSMX. I believe it covers some Futaba radio protocols. I think Ishin, just a whole bunch of things. And that's kind of one of the big reasons that I took the jump towards the Radiomaster. Aside, like I said, aside from the great reviews, aside from all the other obvious things, it was multi-protocol. And that's very important because I had, of course, like I said, taken the plunge to OpenTX, Taranis, and I had some FrSky receivers. I still actually have one that I have kept. I have a receiver. And I also, kind of going back to the super early days of this channel, one of my favorite airplanes, and still sort of is the Hobbyzone Champ. Now, it's a 3-channel little Cub, micro. Can't fly it in any you know, heavy winds or anything like that. But here's the thing with the Hobbyzone Champ. Like I said, I love the planes. One of my favorites. It still, of course, uses a Spectrum receiver. So I thought it'd be so cool to have a radio that not only would do anything that I'm going to do from this day forward, but also go back and allow me to bring life back into my old Hobbyzone Champ if I decide to fly it around one day, just for the heck of it. So, and you know, I know there's guys out there that have, you know, sort of redone some of the Hobbyzone microplanes, E-flite microplanes, to support different radios, probably, or beefed up the motors in them to make them brushless and all this kind of stuff, which I'm still pondering. But anyways, I wanted a radio that would work with the Hobbyzone Champ, especially. And so, like I said, that's one thing I decided to go for. Is just something that was, like I said, it was multi-protocol, had all the other awesome features to it, and I wanted to give it a try. So there you have it. So, like I said, I went ahead and picked one up. Like I said, super affordable. It was around this is the more basic model. I think off of Amazon, around just a little over $200. You can get some that are $300, $350, and they usually and the difference there that I have seen is they come bundled with some more stuff, you know, carrying case and this and that and everything else. But just the base model, nothing else. I think $210 is how much it cost. So, so yeah, that's why I sort of took the plunge towards the Radiomaster. All right. Something else I wanted to mention is I went ahead and picked up this guy right here to give this thing some power source, and this is a Radiomaster branded lithium-ion 5,000 milliamp battery pack. Basically, it hooks right into the little balance connector here inside the battery compartment there. You got two options for charging if you do this route. You have a XT30 connector, and of course your balance port or balance cord that can plug into like a standard like, you know, RC charger. The other option is you can just leave it like it is, and there is a USB-C connector here on the bottom, and you can plug that in to charge it as well using just a standard wall plug that has a USB port on it. So in the beginning I was using the normal standard charging method, but after a day or two of fooling with that, I just was like, you know what, just leave it in there. I'll charge it via USB-C and call it good. So, okay, one more thing as well before I kind of dive into this a little bit here. Let's talk about the gimbal side of things. Now, from what I observed, Hall gimbals were highly recommended, and also the most common. I don't know a whole lot about the other different types of gimbals out there, but it seems like Hall was one of the more recommended ones and one of the more common ones. So this is a one with Hall gimbals as well. And basically, what that means is you can adjust your tension and everything here. There's some adjustment screws or holes there around each stick that allows you to adjust. Basically, allows you to adjust it without having to take the radio apart and everything. So that is a cool feature as well with this. Like I said, this one does have the Hall gimbals. Um, and honestly, right now, I don't see much of a need to adjust them at this point. They feel pretty good out of the box. I might tweak them a little bit, but I don't. Like I said, I don't think that's going to be a feature I'm going to really utilize a whole lot. Now, of course, as time goes on, that may very well change, and I can keep you posted if I do play around with that a little bit. But for right now, out of the box, it felt pretty good. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and start diving into some of the features and some things of this radio. Um, and like I said, I'm still a noob at the whole thing, so there's probably stuff I don't even know yet. But let me go ahead and just show you all what some things that I've discovered with this. All right, a more up and close view here on the Radiomaster TX16S. Something I want to point out as well, since we're kind of up close here, is these little holes right here. Those are your adjustments for the Hall gimbals. You can adjust things like the endpoints and the spring tension and all that kind of stuff. There are guides out there that will kind of show you what each one of those will do. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started here and get turned on. Hold that for a couple seconds. Here it comes up. And here you have it. Like I said, the first thing, one of the things I especially love here is a color screen too. Gone are the days of using a single, what they call it, monochrome, like Game Boy, old Game Boy days kind of screen. This is actually full-on color screen, as well as being touchscreen. So I can go to my different menus here and tap on that and scroll through. Just with using my finger there. So really kind of very modern, especially for all that. Now, with it being touchscreen, it gives you the option as well with the touchscreen, color screen, all that you can also set up themes for this. So just to give you an example here, let me push System and go over to the little paintbrush looking thing here. You can set different themes on the radio and different color schemes and all that. So that's something you can do. That's really kind of neat, and a good way to personalize your radio. There's also screen settings here. Let me get to those. There we go. This will pull up some different options as well by holding the screen there. But and this lets you kind of jump into different things. But anyways, here's screen settings. Here you can kind of set up the main screen on your radio if you want, if you want a certain layout. Maybe you want to have a couple different boxes that show different things or what have you. Right now, I've just got the model image and the name right here, a timer, and then of course my channel monitor here. You can of course modify that. Through this thing right here. So I can tap on this layout button here, and you can of course make those different changes and everything if you want. And of course, like I said, you can set those different widgets to display different things. So a couple quick things I've learned about this. You can also load up your own model images. This is an actual picture of my T28 that I took at the field one day. So I loaded that as my default image for my T28. Couple things I've learned from playing around with it is the images have to be a certain size in order for it to actually fully work. So, and I think the same goes for the themes and the background, stuff like that. They have to be certain sizes and things for them to actually display and work on the radio. So just keep that in mind if you want to personalize it more. And I've only scratched the surface with that kind of stuff. I do eventually want to start adding in probably some audio clips and things like that as well. I'd help get it a little more personalized. I've also used some of these little widget settings to give me a battery meter and stuff like that on here. And I'll probably continue to add more stuff on as time goes on. So, but anyways, that's kind of just a good overview of everything. Like I said, the touchscreen option's nice, and being able to adjust the screen to how you want it. You don't have to stick with just what I've got here, and I think this is kind of like a default layout. You can go in there, change it, personalize it. So anyways, let me go ahead and get off that for a second and just show you guys the multi-protocol feature. So let's dive into that. All right, guys, this here is my, I think a 1.1 meter E-flite T28. Now, something that's going to throw you for a loop on this is this guy is not fixed up with a Spectrum receiver, but actually an FrSky receiver. That was kind of during my days of switching out from Spectrum to the Taranis and the FrSky protocol and everything. So let me go ahead and hook this battery up and just kind of show you all here the multi-protocol side of things with just running the FrSky stuff. So hold on just a second here. All right, bear with me a second. We'll get this hooked up here. All right, there we go. And we're all green light there on the FrSky. And radio is, of course, on the right model and everything. I made sure of that beforehand. And there you go. And just to give you guys a little bit of a look into this, let me scroll down through here to get to the internal RF. Okay, here it is. So when you first pull it up, internal RF is going to be turned off. So you can see right now it's on multi. Then there's FrSky X is what I selected, and then the FrSky option there for the protocol. And I basically followed just the basic bind procedure there to go ahead and bind up the receiver to the transmitter itself. Something else I want to point out as well is I did go ahead and set this receiver ID to number 1. So that way it actually stores the receiver information into the radio settings itself. And what that translates to is I don't have to bind this thing again unless I fully just reset everything. So once I have this model selected and once I have that battery hooked up in the airplane, it's automatically bound. There's no need to have to bind it a second time or third time or any time I decide to fly. Just select the model, plug my radio up, I plug my battery up in the airplane, and that's it. Let me go ahead and show you guys a little more in depth on the multi-protocol option here. So I'm going to long press model. I'll just go down to my little blank one I've created here, select it, and hit the model button again, and scroll on down. And here is the, I still had it set on my FrSky, but if I do this, the multi, here's the options here you see for off, then multi. Go into here, and here you can see all the different protocols that are in there. So some of these I have never seen, but here's your DSM ones. I think that's the eShins right there. I think I have seen eSky before. And of course, there's FlySky, and then the FrSky options. Here's Futaba. High Sky, High Tech, Hobbyzone. So you can see all the crazy protocols, amount of protocols actually listed in the radio itself. So I think Walkera, I've heard of that. So pretty amazing, huh? And then I think from there you actually have to, once you select your protocol, then you have some other options as well to select it, and then of course do your bind procedure. So, anyways, there you have it on the all the crazy amount of protocols listed in this radio. Let me go ahead and switch over to my Hobbyzone Champ, and we'll show you guys how that works and how that's set up. All right, guys, back here. Selected my Hobbyzone Champ, which I have selected here on the radio using my Perkyplanes logo there for the picture. That is actually a painting that my wife had done. So, and it's kind of been my channel logo ever since. Funny story about my Hobbyzone champ. I actually nicknamed him Teddy after the movie Stand By Me, the character Teddy Champ. So that's kind of where that came from. All right, so he's selected there, and I'm going to go ahead and get the battery hooked up. Give me just a second for that. Oh, here's Teddy in all his glory, too. One of the early planes that sort of got me having some success in the hobby. Highly recommended. Just a great little 3-channel airplane. Just make sure and fly in low winds if you get one or happen to come across one. Now, I'm kind of doing something I wouldn't recommend here, and that is I'm leaving the prop on. Normally for testing and radio stuff, I take the prop off for safety reasons. As you can see, the T28 does not have the prop on it. But this guy, he's kind of small, and it's actually more work and trouble to get the prop off this guy. So I'm just going to leave it on, but be, of course, extremely careful. So let me go ahead and get its little 1S battery hooked up to it and show you guys how that works. All right, there we go. Battery is installed. Got the solid red light there that he is that the receiver is bound to the transmitter. Let me set him down here just for a second. And like I said, I got everything selected on the radio side of things. So like I said, it's already bound. So let me just kind of show you here. All that's working there, as well as the throttle, just very briefly. Whoop. Okay. So, yeah, all's good there. And just to kind of show you this as well. Going down here to radio, the RF option. Here it is, multi, DSM. And there's the settings that for the protocol and stuff to help get good old Teddy here bound up to the radio. So, anyway, so there you have it. So, using the multi-protocol transmitter of the TX16 to actually bind and work with a Hobbyzone champ using DSMX, DSM2 protocol, and like I said, using the T28 with the FrSky receiver. So. Oh, and something else too. This question has come up for me, and honestly, I have no answer for the person that asked me about this. And that is basically this: what receivers do I run with this? I have an endless supply or an endless list of receiver options I can pick because of the multi-protocol feature of the Radiomaster. So it's like, well, with that in mind, which receivers do I go with? Alex, the answer is I don't really know at this point. I mean, I can continue buying the FrSky receivers until they are discontinued. I can still buy Spectrum receivers and use those technically. I've noticed Radiomaster even sells their own branded receivers, so that's an option. But like I said, there's just an endless list of brands that I could go with this. And like I said, I just haven't given it much thought. It's like you have so many things at your disposal. It's sort of like, well, what do you do? What do you pick? This thing is already working for at least the two of the planes that I'm working on here. So it's sort of like, how do I proceed with the journey and go from there? And the answer is, I don't know. So that's some food for thought. If you guys have any comments, suggestions on also which receiver should I go with, please leave them in the comments section below. Because like I said, I really don't know where to turn to now. I've got hundreds of receivers I can choose from, but I haven't really thought of any kind of standard one I can go with at this point from here on out. So, like I said, don't know. If you guys have any experiences with that and what receivers you guys run with your Radiomaster, like I said, just leave me a comment in the comment section below. So, all right, guys. So there you have it. That's just kind of a brief overview of some of the features and functions on the Radiomaster. Like I said, I'm a newbie still to this, so I'm sure as time goes on, I'll be learning some new things to apply to it and all that. With any of my radios, I've always wanted to make sure I do at least a couple things that are important, and that is, of course, setting like dual or triple rates for all my models, so that I don't so I don't fly too squirrely, so to speak. I can kind of dial the rates down and all that. So, and then of course the other big thing, and probably even more important, is your throttle cut. So I have made those settings on the radio. I still need to do it for the Champ at this point, but the T28, the throttle cut works just fine. And as time goes on, I'm sure I'll be adding audio clips and goofy stuff like that in there. Maybe adding some cool Back to the Future sayings or something like that. Um, but yeah, so far so good. Um, like I said, it's been progressing very well, and honestly, if you're new to any kind of radio programming, especially, uh, I don't think the Radiomaster is a good beginner radio. It's going to take some time to kind of get familiar with it. I do think having the background that I had on the Taranis and the OpenTX really kind of made it easier to transition into the Radiomaster. I've had to pull up a few tutorials here and there on how to do certain things, but overall looking pretty good for the most part with it. Like I said, just be kind of tweaking as I go. Something I did want to mention too, and I welcome your guys' comments and opinions on this. Just because it's something I toyed around with the idea, even back with the Taranis as well, is there is, of course, companion software that you can go on your computer to go with OpenTX and also EdgeTX. It's simply called OpenTX Companion if you're doing OpenTX, or EdgeTX Companion if you're doing Edge. And basically what it is it's a fully functional software that simulates your radio and allows you to sort of read and write settings to and from the radio. So you could essentially program everything into the application on the computer, whether you use EdgeTX or OpenTX, and then transfer those to the radio without you pushing a single button on the radio. So, with the exception probably of a couple things, but it will allow you to transfer those settings from the PC to the radio, and also vice versa. So you could transfer your settings from the radio to the PC, make modifications, write them back, however you want to do it. From my experience, the companion software has been a struggle. I have not really adjusted too well with it. It seems like once I do something in the software, it doesn't really go as well to back to the radio. Like something gets lost in translation, or I don't know what, or maybe I just don't know what I'm doing. So um, I don't know. You guys might have different experiences on that. I welcome to hear your feedback and everything, but just to give you an idea, I cleaned up out of the box the EdgeTX, or out of the box the Radiomaster comes with a lot of preset stuff in there, right? Well, basically I transferred that to the PC. I worked some stuff on the PC, and I thought I cleared a lot of those things up and just kind of made it more more personalized for me. When I transferred them back, it's like the models and everything's just kind of got a little bit wonky. Settings didn't transfer right, things like that. So, not sure what happened, but regardless, the software, as great as it is, and the concept behind it, it just has not worked out well for me. And like I said, maybe your experience is different. Maybe you've had had good luck with that, but it's been a struggle for me, and I've just honestly at this point just do everything through the radio itself. So, like I said, that's just my experience. I welcome your comments and suggestions if you all had a different experience and if you've had more success doing it that way. But for me, it has been a struggle. And I am just doing everything just straight out on the radio itself and going along my merry old way just fine like that. So, I just want to put that out there. But anyways, like I said, that's kind of the Radiomaster in a nutshell. Just kind of some of the basic things that it can do. And like I said, I've just scratched the surface at this point. So, but anyways, that is all for me, guys. If you've got any comments, questions, suggestions, anything like that, please leave them in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts and everything. And I'll try to answer them as quick as I can. And all that kind of good stuff. I want to thank you guys for watching. And I must say it's glad to have a radio back finally, too. So I can get back to flying. All right. Well, that's all for me, guys. Take care. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.